Hello and welcome to Talk New York. Once again, our roundtable discussion, and welcome joining us. Okay, let's get into something interesting, down my alley. There's a survey that suggests that American women would rather marry for love and not money. Would you marry for love or money?
Both would be nice, but what I feel about this is, idealistically, I would like to marry for love. But realistically, you know, especially at my point in life, I'm going to marry for money. And then maybe the love will come because, you know, the money's there and so forth.
The love will be where and
it'll come along because I'll be so, you know, what's the word? So much gratitude.
That
For being so well kept by this man that I just will feel love will start flowing.
Is this physical? Okay. What is
Definitely,
it?
I think I should marry for love because I think if you love each other, you work together, you're happy together, and gradually, the more you love each other,
how much love? What if the guy is down and out? No, what if the person is down and out?
as long as we can pay.
Oh, so it's not totally for love though, because she has to be able to pay her bills.
Definitely, I mean, of course, both of you have to.
Well, but what if you can pay your bills and you're living in a car?
I'd rather be in love than to be rich. To me, love, you can't buy love.
Okay.
That's the most important thing in this world, at least.
You will take a guy living in a car that you are so much in love with.
You're not that much in love, in other words. Okay.
Have some conditions.
I have conditions here. What happened to unconditional love?
Person I am, I would take someone. I would rather be with someone that I'm in love with than the person, because I can work hard, make money.
But your love right now has some conditions there. If he doesn't have an apartment, you are out.
If he doesn't have a job,
somebody who's homeless.
Hey, it's love. That's right.
But I think she's making an excellent point. I think if a person doesn't have an apartment, that may be a sign of whole other problems. Maybe drugs, alcohol, laziness.
Listen, when you love somebody, drugs, alcohol, sickness, in health.
When you
stand at the altar and they say in sickness and in health.
20/20 vision.
When you're standing at the altar and it says in sickness and in health, they didn't actually choose. It says in sickness and in health.
I know, but that's after you marry.
Richer or poorer?
Right. So it's everything.
After marriage, not before marriage.
Right. That's what I think is, after marriage, you got to deal with these issues.
Because the
You guys are not being honest here.
Can turn real ugly when the bills can't be paid, right?
When you have the bill
when the bills can't be paid. Yeah, you were saying.
Well, no, I just think that all those things are sort of factors in you know, because someone once said, you know, rich people need love too, and I agree with that. But I think it's all, in my mind, it's all sort of a balancing of things. If a woman has, you know, it's very beautiful, maybe she doesn't have to have quite as much money, but she's less beautiful. Maybe she.
Now you see. Already you're really.
All these things to me are balancing. They're very balancing. That you have.
And they pick themselves some dogs too. She's beautiful and she doesn't cook. And she doesn't clean.
Right, she's very, very beautiful.
She's very, very beautiful.
What about beautiful and dumb?
Well, I can't really deal with dumb because I'm the kind of person.
What is dumb? I mean, that's relative to the person. What is dumb?
Dumb is the person who can find the door to get out of the house.
Yeah, but maybe you may have a problem with that. Maybe the man doesn't have a problem with dealing with a woman like that. So that's relative.
Maybe he likes that.
Maybe he likes that, not having her communicate, just laying there.
Believe me, all these men who have beautiful women go out there and do something. They cheat. Look at what's that British guy's name?
That's not always the case.
With Brown.
Hugh Grant.
Hugh Grant with
Hugh Grant.
I like him. He like black women. Miss Divine.
That was his fantasy.
He was living out his fantasy.
He said that.
I mean, look, he had what most people consider beautiful woman.
Yeah, Elizabeth Hurley, right?
Yeah,
she is very attractive.
She's very attractive.
So what was he doing?
I know, but that was still, you know, that was just a physical act. That doesn't mean that he was devoted to Miss Brown, or, you know, men can do that. I mean,
he was sexually devoted.
Well, for that moment.
For
that
what
didn't mean he was going to move her into his apartment or going to leave Elizabeth for him.
Right.
I mean, so I'm not sure how much of a compliment that is for, other than he has, you know, some sort of sexual desires
his
for
fantasy, basically,
right.
right.
Believe me, if you go and take you off your stuff and get some gratification out there when you have this beautiful woman, there's some kind of commitment. I mean, I know men say that you can have sex without loving the woman and all that crap. That there's something that made you choose that particular
absolutely.
person.
Well, yeah,
Absolutely.
maybe physical
You know?
attractiveness. I mean, it doesn't mean that he wants a long-term.
And you're not going to risk all this stuff for just anybody.
Well, that's true. The desire
She
was
was-
very strong.
Well, she was a prostitute, right?
Yes.
Yes, it
Yeah.
was.
So, I mean,
But she was divine.
a
That was
divine
the-
prostitute,
Divine
yes.
prostitute.
Yeah, she was a very attractive woman.
She was an attractive woman. He has good taste.
I'm sure he does, and he tasted very well. Of the, we won't go. We will end that
We
conversation.
won't go there.
Okay.
But I think people are bullshitting when they say they marry for love. I think marriage is
It should be a combination of
much
both,
more
but if you have a
complicated than
choice,
that.
it is.
Right.
I
Yeah,
think my marriage
right.
is not that simple because believe me, when he put his socks where it's not supposed to be for the 10th time, the love sort of goes out the window.
But see, but I think that's why you need love. I really do. I think because if you love the
Yeah.
person, then those things become tolerable.
Right.
But if you don't even like the person, then you don't want to be bothered with that at all. So I think
And
that's why
that's
love
what
is
this is.
necessary.
Well, but that's why I agree
There's a
with Ann on this though. But if he's giving me, I mean, if I have a mansion and I have $100,000
It
every
depends
day
on
in
what-
my pocket, I would tolerate it.
Yeah, it depends on
As
what
soon
your
as he
priorities
leaves, I
are.
call 1-800 maid. Could you please come and fix this?
It depends on what your
I agree with
priorities
her. I mean,
are.
you have to have love. There has to be something there to base the relationship
Listen,
on.
all this young
Well, you know what? You know
women
what? What about life? What
married
about liking
70-year-old, 30-year-old women married, what's his name? Tony Randall is what, 70-something?
Oh, he's 80 now. He's 82.
He's 80. His wife is
82.
34
because
something.
right, they had their first child when he was 78. And that-
right.
Yeah.
Goodness
What's his
gracious.
name?
my
That
goodness.
guy on CNN. What is his name? Larry King
right.
has a young wife. Sean Connery. Is he? No. Let me not use the
Well,
wrong
you know,
name.
just this past
It's
week-
another person. I forgot his name.
Well, you know, Michael Douglas.
Michael Douglas.
Well, he's 55,
Right,
and he's
right.
marrying Catherine Zeta-Jones, I guess, who's 30.
30.
And she's
And they just.
she actually announced
she's
she was
prob-
pregnant.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh,
So
well,
all
55
these
is
women,
still
you
sort
think
of
they just
considered
chose
low.
them because, I mean, come on, Mike Tyson and Robin Gibbons. You think if Mike Tyson didn't have money, you know, he will be close to, now he's married to a doctor?
Right.
Come on, money,
Right.
money makes you very attractive.
I'm not in denial that money plays a role, but basically what I'm saying that there should be some kind of love there, because if there is
Right.
love, you're more
What is
tolerant of the
love?
person.
Well, you know what,
love is relative. It depends on the person, how you feel.
How do you
love
feel love?
meaning,
I'm confused. When I was
to me,
younger,
love means
Uh-huh.
accepting the person unconditionally in terms of what, you know, whatever comes with a person.
I don't know.
Why
about
you
that.
think
Now, you know,
What's your beef with this definition?
Unconditionally.
Yeah, you didn't I knew that.
I know that's not
That was a
working
problem,
for me.
right?
No, that's not. That's what. With me personally, love is very much dependent upon. Maybe this is a selfish male attitude of how the woman treats me. That is a very important factor as to.
How do you treat her?
Well, I'm a mirror. I will reflect what she does for me.
Oh, that's
I mean, I
not-
have gone in
no.
I began in relationships where the woman just starts off being very giving and very loving, and then I will return that. But then there's also situations where I feel like the woman starts off being a little bit manipulative, and I'm less giving. So I think that is a very
But men
important.
don't like women who give, though. The more you give, the more
That's not
they,
true.
you know, they get away. That is
true,
true.
it's true.
Well, I think men don't like women who are doormats, but I don't think that necessarily a woman who's giving.
And when do
maybe
you
they
become
also
a
men who like
doormat?
doormats.
When
Yeah.
you become a doormat?
I mean, I don't think. At least I wouldn't want someone who would stay no matter what I did.
Maybe there are men who do.
So,
I wouldn't want
so
that.
if you were Hillary, would you have left?
Well, I'm not. I can't see it from that point.
No, but you just
Yeah,
saying that.
I'm saying, but if I had
Do
a
you
wife
think
who
she's a
did some,
doormat?
if I had a wife who had done some of the things that Bill had done, I probably, definitely she would be gone. 'Cause I mean, again, it's what you value. To me, fidelity is very, very important. Now, to another person, it may be something they can deal with.
But do you know what you're going to get next time? I mean, I think one of the reasons why I don't know her political ideology and so far, I don't know her platform, so I'm not saying this in terms of backing her or anything. But what I admire about her as a person is the fact that she stood her ground and said, you know, it's my husband. I made the choice. I'm going to stay with it.
I respect
I
that.
mean,
I do. Yeah.
I don't know what I'm going to get, and so at least with this goat, I know what he's bringing
knows
home.
right, exactly.
And I think it's easy to walk away. It's much harder to stay and face all the people, like you know, the press, knowing that this is what your husband is doing.
Right, and you're right.
But I think it's really when people say that they prefer love than money. I think it's still an assumption on the part of these women that these guys are at least employed, at least have some income. I mean, I don't think, when they say love versus money, I don't think they meant someone who's penniless.
I mean, you can motivate him to be employed.
No, I mean, you have to.
What about picking somebody up who is employable by coming
before you get into a relationship, there has to be a criteria.
Let me tell you,
I mean, you just don't meet anybody in the streets. I mean, it depends on your background.
I have to say this, talk about a homeless person, right? There's this lady at my job, and this is actually a true story. She was telling me about a friend of hers who, you know, every day she'd pass this homeless man. This is true. And the homeless man would, you know, he said, speak to her very politely, and, you know, how are you doing today, and blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, what is this man speaking to me? I mean, he smells, he's in the street. And so one day he managed to get himself cleaned up enough, you know, some clothes, decent clothes, clean clothes. And so she started gradually talking to him, you know, having a little cup of coffee. This is true. She eventually, she ended up taking him home with her. She lived, I think, where she lived. Somewhere. She took this homeless man home. They developed a relationship. It was like discovering a gem. You know, he turned out to be the love of her life. He was once a very successful businessman who fell on hard times, and it was based upon a woman, his wife. His wife, his wife, I think, ran away with his business partner.
Well, let me put it that way.
I'm saying,
that is real
this
commitment.
Is love.
And I think also maybe marrying for desperation can also be a motivation.
But that's love. That's unconditional love.
Let me comment on that. See, I have a theory about extending your hand to pulling someone up. Two things can happen. You can pull them up, or they can pull you down.
But I'm saying,
so you sure she's not homeless in that long?
No, they're doing very well now. Very well, financially and everything. Because the man had.
It is. It sounds like a movie script.
Right. I think that should be in the movie.
Maybe we should get together and do a screenplay.
On
right. That is an interesting story. But
let me ask something. What do you think is more important, to like someone than to love them?
I didn't get a definition.
You have to like the person before you can fall in love with the person.
People,
there has to be something there to like.
Say they love people, but they don't like them.
You can do, absolutely. I think that's probably more likely to happen in a situation with a family member, where you love them because the relationship they have with you, your sibling, aunt, uncle, parent, but you may not like the person that they are.
But it can happen to your husband or your boyfriend. Whatever, yeah, I can like him, but I don't love him. You have to have a like before you can move on to the next level, before you can love. If you don't like the person, I don't see how you can love that person. But I've heard people say they love this person. So what is love?
I don't like the definition of love.
Yeah, they don't like his ways, or they don't like her ways, but they love them.
Yeah, because most of the things that people think is love is usually infatuation. Yeah, well, I mean, that's an interesting.
You must love your husband. I mean, you're married to him. Right?
But that doesn't mean she likes him. Do you like him? Oh, don't comment.
Yes, I love him.
Frank, are you watching?
Yes, I very much love my husband. No, I think that as you grow older, the definition of love changes. I mean, when I was younger, if I like somebody, I'm dying to see him. I don't want him to see me eat. I don't know how I was supposed to grow. I don't want him to see me go to the bathroom. God forbid.
It's true.
But it's not like that. It's like more of a friendship now, and respect, and being able to have a true relationship with somebody. So I don't even know And I think we were talking before we came on the air, or maybe on the air, about our parents living together for so long. At some point, I mean, for a period of almost 10 years, I slept in the same bed with my mother. My father slept in the living room. But you know, we all got along very well. And it wasn't about the physicalness. That was our family. You see, she came from another family, and then he came from somewhere else, and they became one, you know, group of people with us as the children. So I think the definition of love changes. You know, right, and after you live with somebody for a while, you get used to that person. And
that's why you have to like the person. There has to be some likeness there.
The money will make you like it.
The money will definitely.
Money is not everything.
Money is important.
It's important.
If you see your Visa, MasterCard bill, you will see how important money is.
I agree with you guys. Ideally, you're right. You're absolutely right.
Ideally, okay. Let's move on to dating with children. The two of you are.
I'm out of that.
It's very difficult. I mean, just coming here today, I had to drive, go get a babysitter, bring her to my house, leave the children there. So going out on dates, it's very expensive. First of all, if you're going out with somebody, you have to like the person. So you have to pay extra money before I can actually go on a date. And if the children are sick and I have a date, I have to cancel the date.
But what about getting romantic with that person? Bringing them home?
I've never. That's not something I plan to do. I've never done that. I don't know if I will do it. I go to the person's home because I have 2 daughters. I want to make sure that they know that I'm not that kind of person in terms of having men come and go.
Yeah, but you have needs. I do have needs.
I do have needs. However, if I'm dating someone, I have to get to know the person before I can take them around my children, because I don't want my children seeing me with different men. If it's a serious relationship, that's a different issue. But before I introduce any man to my children, it means I have decided that this is the kind of person I want to move with, or is leading to something. So I've never taken any men around my house. And that's not something I plan to do.
That's a big sacrifice.
It is.
Don't you think?
And if I'm involved with a person who doesn't understand it, that person is not worth it, because my children do mean a lot to me, and usually I let the people know this is the kind of person I am.
So you rather not have sex for 10 years?
That's not what I'm saying.
For your children. What are you saying?
I'm not saying that. I'm saying I will not take the man into my home.
Okay.
And if I'm dating someone and it comes to the point where we're going to engage in intercourse, obviously he should have an apartment, or we go somewhere.
Well, you taking him for love.
There you go.
Yeah, right. This is this homeless guy you're in love with.
Then we'll go to a hotel.
Well, maybe he can get a bigger box that time when you spend the night, enough room for the both of you.
We could go and have those stairwells and the subway station there, you know.
How difficult? I mean, you have grown children.
Right. Well,
how difficult would it be for you to date?
it wouldn't be difficult at all for me at this point.
Right.
Because my daughters are adults now, and they understand that I have these needs, you know. You know.
These needs that you can't control.
Because they are experiencing the same needs at this point, so they definitely would understand, definitely.
Right. But you feel, because, I mean, when you were growing up, if you see your parents' door closed, you kind of like smile a little bit, you know. It's kind of funny. You start thinking things, you know. Even though we came here by some means, you know, we don't want to think our parents are doing it.
This is true. That's a good point. You know, to think of your parents as doing it.
Yeah.
I mean, even as adults, people, you think, you say your parents are like in their 70s.
Do you look at visualize them doing it?
Visualize them doing it at any point?
Well, I think that was the thing that was most shocking when I first found out about sex. Is the first thing, the whole thing seemed very shocking to me, and then I was further shocked when I realized that my parents had actually done it.
Then when you did it, and you said, "This is how good it was," you know.
No, I just actually convinced myself. My parents have 5 children, so I convinced myself they only did it 5 times. Just to have the 5 children they have, and
their purpose was to propagate only.
That's it.
Right. That was it. It wasn't for any kind of pleasure.
No enjoyment.
No physical.
Right. Okay. Some positions actually will scare you. Like, my mom's leg. But anyway.
And And then she was
Anyway,
okay.
all right, let's move on to a serious subject. Let's talk about, I think this is sort of like old news, but I'm sure it's still somewhere in the courts or something like that. Let's talk about Danny Glover and his New York taxi cab, yellow cab issue, that the taxi cab drivers will not pick black men. And I have a lot of friends actually who drive yellow cabs. And when this thing became, you know, a big thing, I spoke to one of them and he said he doesn't care. I was going to bring him on the show, but I didn't want to get him in trouble with Giuliani. But he told me he doesn't care how much they're going to fine him. He would not pick up black men. He's a black guy. He's an African guy. He's from, well, African is fine. Let me not narrow it any further. But anyway, he said he would not pick a black guy at a certain time. Actually, first he said he would not pick a black guy without a woman with the guy, and also at a certain time. And I was like, why? I said, what about a white guy? And he said, so far, he's been driving yellow cab for the past 6 years, and he has never been stiffed by a white guy. They are, according to him now, when you write the letter, put yellow cab on it, according to him. According to him, they give tips, they are honest. If they don't have the money, they will tell him up front that this is where I want to go, but this is how much I have, and he will decide whether he wants to do it. But he has had some black kids who will take him someplace and with no intention of paying, and sometimes they will pull a gun on him. You know, he has had a lot of incidents with black people for him to know that he doesn't want to play that game. And I actually personally know somebody who has a bullet lodged in his head right now, as I sit here right now, from driving a cab. Let me hear your response to this.
Well, I mean, I still think a lot of it goes back to, I mean, he's basing this on personal experience, but I still think a lot of it is that people, you know, this was a point that Bill Cosby's wife wrote, that, you know, immigrants come here knowing that it's okay to be racist against black people. I mean, they come here, they know that this is part
but
of
this is a black man.
I know. I don't care where the immigrant is from. But they come here knowing this part of the American landscape, that you can say and do things like that to black people. For example, let me make a point. Now, 90-something% of bank robbers in America are white males. And we would never have a policy directed at not providing service to white men because that's the case. But it's still okay to sort of say, well, I've had these problems with black people, so therefore it's appropriate for me to...
We hear, though, in the news, they kill taxi drivers. I mean, for some time, it was a big deal, almost every week or whatever.
Well, bank tellers get killed, too. So, I mean, again, I'm just still saying that, I'm still saying that I think it does occur. But I think, again, it's just because this is something that's directed towards black people, they feel more comfortable vocalizing these concerns. Not that these young black men who perpetuate these crimes aren't at least partly responsible. I'm saying because they should accept responsibility. My personal experience is I don't know. I generally don't have trouble getting cabs. The times that I've had trouble, I've got out my trusty pen. I've written down because the number of the cab is very conspicuous, and I'm very careful. The times that I've reported cabs, I was sure that the person made eye contact with me. If I wasn't sure, then I didn't write them down. But yeah, I filed a complaint, went into the hearing, and what I found was the taxi committee. You have a little hearing with it was funny because there was a judge there, administrative law judge, and he actually tapes it, I guess, for appeals. And there's also a security person there.
Well,
so I
that's
guess
even traffic court, they tape it.
Right.
But in traffic court, I don't recall that they have a guard there. But there's a security guy sitting betwing you and the taxi driver. But I found the judges to be very receptive to my complaints.
Well, I personally too. I mean, I have had an incident where I was actually working on Wall Street and I was traveling on business, and I couldn't get a taxi to stop. And then one taxi finally stopped, and he said, "I stopped for you because you were a black woman." and he took me to the airport, and he said, I know you were going to have a hard time getting a car, blah, blah, blah. And I decided, to tip him. And I think through conversation, I have asked him why he thought I was going to have a hard time finding a cab. And he said, well, the black people don't tip as much as the white people. Let me make it a little point, because I said, well, first of all, I can tip you now because I'm on an expense report and I'm not paying for it. Secondly, statistics say, I didn't make it up, but they said women, not black women, women in general make, I think now it's $72 over 72 cents of a dollar. It used to be 58 cents. So that means that black men make about 64, and then black women make 40 cents out of the. So if the white woman can give you $10, I definitely shouldn't be able to give you $10.
Well, yeah, that's a good point. A lot of it,
right, because I'm just not making the money.
a lot of it is economics. It really is.
Right. So if you're looking at a tip, then that's grossly inaccurate, and I know you have to feed your children, but as long as I'm paying you what the meter says, then I think that you shouldn't expect anything else. Tip is for extra, whatever I feel like giving you. It's not a requirement. I know there are a lot of restaurants that add it to people's tab and stuff like that, but it's not a requirement.
No, actually, no. If you read the sign, though, inside the cab, it says a 15% tip is customary, meaning that you generally are supposed to provide a tip for the service, which I'm willing to do. And I find myself, matter of fact, when I come here to do the show, I take a cab, and where I leave from, it's only $3.50, but I routinely give the guy $5 just to make the, just to encourage him for the fact
to know the black men
they know how to be courteous.
Something.
I think I lost the train.
But that's part of the just the burden of being a black man in this society. But this is kind of getting off the topic. But one thing that sort of, maybe I'm getting old or something, but one thing that sort of concerns me as being a black man now, people are not afraid of me anymore. And I remember there was a time when people used to be afraid of me as a black man, and I can't decide whether it's now people just aren't afraid of black men as they used to be, or because I'm getting older and I'm not intimidating. But I used to be, when I walked behind someone, male, female, of any race, they looked back every few seconds to see if I was. There's actually been times when I've been walking behind women, again as a younger man, I would cross the street to avoid making them uncomfortable.
That's a good
I think though,
people are more intimidated by black young males. It's the youth thing.
People are intimidated by black people, period, depending on where you are. I've been in some places in Connecticut that I walk in a store and I could tell that everybody want to help. Miss, can I help you?
Yes.
No, I can see. And there are times that I would talk loud. I said, why? Don't you see all these white people here? You can't help them? And they look at me funny. But the violence, with the taxi drivers is a real thing. And the guys who are spoiling it for everybody really have to stop, because it's not fair. But anyway, we ran out of time. Thank you very much for watching. This is Okoampa-Ahoofe. See you next time.